Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together in what I call the bootcamp. It's the one time that we spend together to sharpen a knife, so to speak, so that we can confront all the negativity in the world, but more importantly, without consumed by them. So today we're going to be doing a Qigong exercise at the very end called Yi Jin Jing, YJJ, which translates into renewal of tendon, but more precisely is actually renewal of the connected tissue. In Chinese, they're very similar. And the connected tissues is the channel for our life energy, a qi. So before we do that, when we get to the end, we'll do that exercise. But before we do that, we're going to do some full body massage, what I call qi massage. Starting with the fingertips, work all the way to the toes. Start with the top of the head all the way to the bottom of the feet. We always start at the extremities, the fingers, the toes, the ears, and so forth, where all the energy exchange. We call these energy life energy, but they actually consist of both the energetic and the restorative. The energetic is what we call yang under the sun. So when you're outside the cave, you're basically in fight or flight. Your body's preparing yourself for danger, releasing stress hormone to reduce inflammation. And then the yin is away from the sun, away from the danger, back into the cave, the comfort of the cave, where you actually need to conserve and preserve your ability to heal. So in short, these days, our modern living people, which is really only the last 60 to 70 years, as long as I'm been around, where we live not according to the sun anymore. That's really the result of electrification, and more recently, internet changes our lifestyle. So we no longer cycle ourselves between the yin and the yang anymore. We lost that harmony. And in the result, we lost our ability to heal ourselves, the self-healing power that was given to us. So we're going to start doing some massage, but I want you to first sit properly. I want you to come back to the body, focus on the body. I want you to start at the very bottom of the spine. And then I want you to imagine yourself walking up the spine, one joint at a time. As you walk past one joint, you stretch as if you're stretching that joint, opening up the joint all the way until you get to the very top of the head, as if you're hanging the spine on the ceiling. And then I want you to lean back. As you lean back, I want you to feel the lightness in your body. This is what happens when you let go of baggage. You're letting go of the weight of your upper torso by leaning back, putting all the weight on the spiral cord as opposed to using the muscle in the back. Now I want you to focus on the shoulder. I want you to lift up that shoulder all the way up. And then now open the shoulder as far back as you can, and then relax the shoulder, relax the entire upper torso. And then lean back the forehead, putting the ears on top of the shoulder. Again, feel the lightness because you're now putting the weight of the head on top of the spiral cord, on top of your central nervous system, and not using your neck muscle. Now I want you to tuck in your chin slightly, putting the top of the head on top of your spiral cord. We call this one pillar supporting the sky. You're now the pillar you're now the pillar between the earth and the heaven. You're now the conduit between the energy between the earth and the heaven. Now I want you to take out your left hand, take a look at your fingers, take a look at your fingertips. I want you to take out the right hand, take a look at the thumb, and then I want you to use the thumb and very gently massage the fingertips. Now the fingertips are the energy points. These are actually very important energy points. They're where the yang energy and the yin energy exchange. Yang is energies coming out of a body. Yin is the restorative energy coming back from the universe. I want you to take a look at your hands again, and again, using your thumb, massage the joints. First, massage the left then the middle, then the right. Come back to the middle. Let go of that joint, move to the next joint. Again, around. Let go of that finger, move to the next finger. You're actually practicing mindfulness. I call mindfulness anchoring. You're anchoring your mind on your body. You're trying to develop this new habit of not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, and really thinking about the present, enjoying life at its present moment. And now I want you to move to the right hand using the left thumb. And again, massage the joints, one joint at a time. Massage the fingers, one finger at a time. And all this time practicing what I call mindfulness in motion. When you're walking, when you're exercising, I want you to remind yourself it's time to anchor your mind on your body. Now I want you to work on the back of the hand, again from the fingertip. And this time I want you to use the thumb and the index finger and put it around the fingernail and squeeze the two corners of the fingernail. This is where most of the yang energy line starts. One finger at a time. Now I want you to use the left thumb and the index finger and massage the two corners of the fingernails on the right hand. Once again, anchoring your mind on your body, practicing what I call mindfulness in motion. And now I want you to move to the joints again and massage from the back of your hand, one joint at a time, one joint at a time. One joint at a time. And now move to the right hand. So recently, I talk about my fingers. So my thumb is very crooked, and the rest of them is pretty good. And when you have crooked fingers, that's a sign of arthritis. Arthritis is inflammation. So when you massage your fingers, obviously it will help with the arthritis. But actually, arthritis is just the most acute form of inflammation. It's really a signal that the rest of your body is inflamed as well. And so what you find is that as massage your fingers, not only are you reducing the pain on your fingers, you will start to notice that you're reducing the pain on the rest of the body as well. And also, most of the time, if we have very cold fingers and cold feet, even massaging the fingers warm up the rest of the body. It's just a matter of circulation, improving the circulations. So recently, when I noticed that I have like a little blister on the corner of my nail. And every time I see that, I know that this finger is starting to inflame, right? So we all seen that. When the beginning of arthritis, usually sometimes you have like a little bubble, a little blister. And so I know that this finger needs a lot of work. And you notice that it's a little bit more crooked than the rest. So whenever you see that, you know that it's a sign. It's a sign. So you need to really work on this, okay? All right. So now I want to show you how to work on the back of the hand, the part of the body that is facing the sun. So Beth said that, can you move the camera down a bit? The screen is being cut off. I didn't know how to do that. So someone mentioned that if you're using your iPhone or iPad, just rotate it 90 degrees. For some reason, it cuts off the bottom in one orientation versus the other. Try that, Beth. Try that, because everybody is seeing me okay. All right, and I'm actually monitoring on outside as well. And I believe his name is Chandra. And he said, I saw your prison lecture a few weeks ago. It was very powerful. Yeah, so I stopped stopped being a volunteer of the local Zen meditation group at the time of the pandemic, and I haven't gone back since. But on the other hand, our Sunday class now is catering to what we call the returned citizens, people who have been incarcerated and is now living outside of the prison. So I like that kind of work, and there's signs that I might have an opportunity to go back. We'll see. But the thing that I want to mention is that since the pandemic, right? Since the beginning of 2000, all my work has been online, right? So I don't get to see you, obviously. I do see my Cantonese speaking students, but it's a very small subset of that. And so since working on Sunday with in the physical situation, I really understood about pain. I just haven't seen that in 4 years because I just don't see you. But then when I work with people, I really see them the physical problem. So since then, I focus more back, kind of back to the future. When I first started this, I was focusing on Qi as a therapy, and now I'm refocusing on that. So a lot of the things that we do are relieve pain on the finger, relieve pain on the wrist, the elbow, the knee, and so forth. And so there are a couple of places that would relieve the pain on the hand, the fingers, and the wrists. But it's also places that would release the yang energy. So every time I mention yang is under the sun, that's our evolution is such that when you're under the sun, your body release hormone, stress hormone, whether it's adrenaline or cortisol. And its purpose is adrenaline is mainly a signaling hormone, tells the entire body to get ready for the danger, shutting down things that you don't need, things like reproduction, things like digestion, things like immunity, things that you don't need right now, right? Because you're fighting for your survival. And then it also releases cortisol. Cortisol is a natural steroid. And so every time you want to relieve pain, you work on the part that is facing the sun. And so we're going to start with just in between the fingers. So we're going to take our thumb now and use the edge and just kind of open up these energy points, relieve the yang energy, the energetic energy. And then now we're going to work on the knuckle and just kind of in between the knuckle. And then back of the hand, so each finger's individual, and then so it creates each kind of channel in between. So massage that, and we'll come back to the thumb. And then same thing on the other side, open up the fingers, massage in between, and then massage in between the knuckle, and then massage the back of the hand. And now there are 3 energy points on the wrist that are facing the sun. The middle one is the energy line that we call the triple warmer, and then the small intestine to large intestine. These are yang energy. They're corresponding to the elements, the fire and then also the mineral. And so there's one here that's very, very important. It opens up the yang energy points that so when we say your yang deficiency means that you don't have enough energy in you. So you get very tired, you walk up the stairs, it's just very tired, or you get very cold. Okay, so this energy points basically is in between your index fingers and your middle fingers. You put your fingers along that channel until you get to the wrist. Okay, and then you just kind of move around the wrist, and then you see a dimple. So you put your thumb on top of that and you press down, doing what we call the acupressure, and then just kind of move it around, massage. You feel kind of numbness. Right? Okay, all right. There's another one. And then right down the thumb, you can see the wrist, and then put your finger there and just move around. It falls into that cavity, and put your thumb on there, push. It hurts. And then massage a little bit. Okay, and the other side, same thing on the small fingers on the outside. And then if you just move a wrist around, there's a cavity in there. Okay, now the same thing on this side, move around on top of the wrist, push, massage. On the wrist, move around, push, massage. And then in behind here, all outside facing the sun. All right. Okay, so we do a lot of work on the fingers, so we kind of come back to the thumb. The thumb is very, very important. The thumb is very important. So we talk about the yin and the yang, which in modern language, modern terminology, is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is what we call fight or flight when you're in danger, when you're outside the cave. The parasympathetic is when you're back in the cave, in the comfort zone, and you want to conserve and preserve your healing power. It's that simple. It's that simple. It all started, that evolution that took thousands, well, millions, tens of millions of years, all started with the thumb. Think about it. Think about it. We're the first species that learned how to use the thumb. And once we knew how to use the thumb, we know how to use the rest of the fist. We can tear a branch off the tree. That becomes our defensive weapon. We started walking down the tree. We started living in the cave. So you just have to, it's just very obvious. And since we don't live in the cave, actually we do, right? I couldn't call this in the cave, except that the cave is not dark anymore. It's very bright. It's bright all day long, right? It's bright even when I turn off the light because my iPhone is next to me. The neighbor behind me has his light on whenever there's a small animal walk by. And so I sleep with shades around my eye. Because if you don't sleep with shades in the eye, your eye detects light. Your body says there's danger. It releases cortisol. As soon as your body releases cortisol, the melatonin is no longer there. There's no melatonin, you can't fall asleep. Or even if you fall asleep because your body is tired, it's not a very good quality of sleep, okay? So my recommendation, sleep with shades, all right? Now we're gonna come back to the thumb. The most important digit is the thumb. So I want you to massage the thumb all the way around and use a pincher using the thumb and the index finger as a pincher. And you can imagine the thumb being like a drumstick. There's a part that you need to kind of pinch right here. And then open up, we call this the valley, and then just kind of massage two sides of the valley. Okay, and then come back, massage the thumb, pinch that part, and use the knuckle, drill into the spot. There's a very important energy point as part of the the lung meridian. And then same thing on the other side, really massage that thumb. Try doing anything with the thumb, it won't work. The thumb is that important. Pinch that part, drill in it with the knuckle, and then open up, expose the valley, massage both sides of the valley. Okay, all right. So now we come to the center part of our palm. We're working on the inside now. And the middle is the pericardium. This is actually the mechanical part of the heart. This is a very important energy point. This is the only energy point that puts out energy. So that's why we call this the healing hand. So I want you to take the right hand and kind of drill into this. This is called I translate it into the chamber of labor. And then over the other side. Now, many of you know of these energy points by number, right? So L is for lung, and pericardium is probably P, something like that. So you might know this by number. And I tend not to use number. Actually, I don't know how to use number. But I like the Chinese name, and I try my best to translate. This is called the chamber of labor. Okay? Now I want you to put that together, your healing hand, and just kind of massage that. Now, this would help your heart, okay? Increase circulations of energy in your body. And now I want you to take the right hand, put that on top of the left, and squeeze the fingers, and then kind of massage. Beth, are you seeing me okay now? Have you tried rotating your screen? I hope that works, huh? Okay, now coming to the other side. Squeeze your fingers, okay? Squeeze your fingers, massage in between the fingers, massage the center palm as well as the back of the hand. Now come back and massage that again. Okay, and then massage the fingers, okay? All right. Now I want to show you. Oh, okay. All right. So we'll do both, okay? All right. So you find the orientation that works for you. And you're right. I forgot to point the camera down. And so what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you how to do some acupressure that are some of the important energy points. The most important energy point is actually this one, right? Well, one of the more important energy points is this one. I call this the merging valley. It's a valley where the two fingers are kind of merged together. So this one actually is part of the large intestine energy line. It's a yang energy line. So it is the one that helps you release cortisol. And again, releasing cortisol, reduce inflammation, reduce pain. So this one is very famous for pain. So the proper way of doing acupressure is you open it up and you find this valley. You take your right thumb, you find this line, you put the line on top of the ridge of the valley, and then you push down your thumb, but you take your right hand, you put that outside of the left hand, and you push down. So that way, when you push down, you lean towards the index finger, and you feel kind of, oh, that hurts. But it's a good kind of pain. And so when you have pain, this one will help. Okay, now, so the other side, put your left hand outside the right and push down. So last Sunday, one of the students, the week before, I taught him this, and I said, now, because he was complaining about having leg cramp, and I said, yeah, that hurt. That's a problem, especially in the middle of the night. I said, what you do then is, in the middle of the night, when you have leg cramp, you do this, and that will relieve the pain, and then now you can relax and just stretch out your legs and just tell yourself to relax. The cramp will go away. And so last week, when I saw him, I said, well, did it work? He said, well, I haven't tried it yet, but my back hurts. And I did that, and it did help my back. So that's good. All right. Now, the second one is right here. This is part of the pericardium. So you look at the wrist, you measure 3 fingers. That's your magic tool, measuring tool. And you just put the thumb right here. And then wrap it around with your fingers and kind of push on that. Maybe just kind of move around a little bit. Now, this one is known to help with your heart, and especially when you have irregularity in your heart. Okay. All right. Now there's another one that is right here at the bent. Okay. And then just push down. Now, don't do that with your fingernail. Okay. And then right here. Now this one is known for reducing your high blood pressure. And then there's another one that I use, and again has to do with pain. So you take your hand, you see this bone on top of the bone. You come back to the bend, you measure 3 fingers, you put your thumb on top of the bone, and then you move outside. There's a cavity, and you push down. This is very good for your back. And then same thing over here, very good for your back. Okay. All right. So we've done a lot of work with the fingers. We cleared the channels, and then now we're going to use the scraping tool. Okay. Everybody got your scraping tool? If you don't, there's one that you carry with you all the time, which are the knuckle, right? So last night, it's very rare that I wake up in the middle of the night. So I woke up thinking that it's time for class. I look at my watch. Oh, it's only 2:30 in the morning. What happened? That doesn't happen. And then I said, oh yeah, there it goes. So my hand was really warm, because these days I do a lot of editing. And so when you do a lot of editing, you use your fingers with the mouse and all that. And so my carpal tunnel comes back. And of course, I forgot where I put my scraping tool. And then I remember this. Okay, so I do this. And you just go back to sleep, relieve the discomfort. All right. But if you do have your tool, whether it's a ruler, or someone mentioned that the cap of the jar, everything will work. Or if you want to go fancy, go up to Amazon and look up Guat Sa. I wish I remember how to spell that. I think is someone would spell that. Okay, Guat Sa. Guat means scrape. Okay. All right. So now we're going to take a scraping tool. We're going to identify the inside, which is yin, and then outside is yang. Inside, there's 3 energy lines. That one is in the middle, one is along the thumb, and one is along the small fingers. Now, those of you who have some heart problem, and that's particularly true. Thank you, Beth. That's particularly true as you age, and especially when you had a long history of high blood pressure, and your doctor has prescribed high blood pressure medicine for many years. Your heart start to deteriorate, because the reason why you have high blood pressure, there's no one reason. There's many reasons. Is basically that you don't have enough oxygen. That's the easiest, is that you don't have enough oxygen. This is a part of your body's senses whether or not you have enough oxygen. So it increased the pressure on your pump to compensate. Now, that's a symptom. However, if you treat the symptom as an illness and you take high blood pressure medicine, now you have even less oxygen in your head, and the body is fighting with that medicine. And over time, it overworks the left valve, okay? And so this is the part that I do now with my mom. She has a congestive heart problem because of that. And so I now move up from the elbow. I used to do just the elbow to the wrist. I move up a little bit. If you measure 4 fingers right here, there is an energy point. I start here now, okay? Now this one hurts. And then I move to the elbow. Then I come down all the way to the wrist. And then I come back up to the elbow. Straighten up my elbow. I go all the way up to here. And then go back down. Now I move up to the bone. Inside the bone, I start with the elbow. Along the bone. Inside the bone, okay? All the way to the wrist. And then I come back. And then I straighten up and I scrape on the bone. Then now I scrape on the outside along the thumb. Then I scrape in the middle. Then I scrape on the outside along the small fingers. And then I just rotate my hand as I come back to the middle of the inside and then all the way up to here. All the way to the wrist. And then I scrape along the small fingers, which is known. This is also the heart. There's 2 hearts right here. There's the pericardium and the heart. And the heart actually is also your mental side. Your mental side. So this one helps you sleep better right here, about 4 inches. And then you go all the way down to here. All right. So we do a lot of work on this. And then later on when we do Yi Jin Jing, there's a part where it's really about this muscle right here, okay? So it runs along to here. All right, so now I've talked about arthritis. So let's scrape the back of the hand, the thumb, the fingers, back of the hand, thumb. All right, hey, come on. It feels so good. Okay, now don't forget the right hand, okay? And then now on the right hand, and then all the way up to here, and then all the way to, and then down to the elbow, all the way to the wrist, come back, all the way up here. And now on the inside of the bone, on top of the bone, on the outside of the bone, in the middle, along the small fingers, and then back of the hand, the fingers, the thumb, and then small fingers, the middle, outside the bone, on top of the bone, inside the bone, and then in the middle, all the way up to here. Wow, this one hurts. And then now on the small fingers, okay? All right, so this helps if you have arthritis, help if you have carpal tunnel, all right? If you have carpal tunnel. And so my co-instructor, Tim, he has tennis elbow. He plays pickleball, and so he's been having this problem. And so before I knew him, actually right around the time when we started teaching together, he said, Danny, I might have to take April off. I said, why? He says, oh, I have a surgery. I said, you have a surgery? Because I saw him on video that he plays pickleball. I said, what, the doctor's going to inject steroid? He said, yeah, how do you know? I said, I can tell, because you're hurting your elbow. But it's kind of a irony, I told him, the reason why you have tennis elbow is because your joints is inflamed. And the reason why your body's inflamed is because you're no longer sensitive to your own anti-inflammatory agent called cortisol. And cortisol is a steroid. And the reason that you're no longer sensitive to steroid is you develop something called cortisol resistance because you have too much steroid in your body. And yet the only cure is to inject more steroid. I said, there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. So what we do here is not to inject a body with more chemical or ingest with more chemical, but try to release our own self-healing. Okay? So later on, when we get down to the floor, we're going to do this very comprehensive Qigong exercise to energize ourselves. And then we're going to feel this energy in us. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to collect all that energies into our element, something that we call the dantian, the field of fire. And we're basically sorting through this energy between yin and yang. When we breathe in, we enter into the sympathetic, the fight or flight. When we breathe out, we relax, we enter into the rest and digest. So that first step is to separate the yin and the yang. From a scientific standpoint, is that you're conditioning yourself into breathing in, enter into fight or flight, breathing out, enter into rest and digest. It's not that one is better than the other. It's the harmony between them that is important, because you're trying to re-enable your self-healing. And the doctors, the scientists actually start to understand that. They put people in deep breathing, and they notice that they can measure something called HRV. My watch measures HRV, heart rate variability. So if you are a healthy individual and you're practicing these longevity techniques, your HRV goes up, meaning that there's a measurable difference between your heart rate as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Because when you breathe in, you enter into fight or flight, heart rate goes up. And when you know how to relax and you breathe out, you enter into rest and digest, the heart rate goes down. The difference is called HRV. And they correlate that with neurological health. It can actually reverse aging, reverse dementia, prevent dementia, all that good stuff, all right? Okay, so now we're done with the scraping. We're going to continue. Again, this is all about channeling, clearing the channel of our energy. Okay, so now we're going to do is, again, we lift up our shoulder, bring up your body, the entire upper torso towards the ceiling. We open up all the way back and then relax. Now we take our hands, we form what is called lotus hand. We take a thumb and the middle finger and we stretch out the other three. We put that in front of a shoulder. We open up the shoulder again, back of the hand facing the camera. Get ready. One, back of the hand facing the camera. Back here, lotus hand, open up your shoulder. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so you notice that we're working from the fingers, we're all the way up. We deal with carpal tunnel, we go all the way up to the shoulder. Now we're dealing with frozen shoulder, which is just another form of inflammation. Now we're going to come up to the neck. And so many people, lack of exercise, they develop what's called a Dowager's neck. There's a bump here. And that's because chi is blocked. And so we're going to massage the back, the neck, all the way to the top of the head. So let's look up straight, take our thumb, and just kind of glide down. And then you find this two cavity on both sides. So first massage. This is called a pond of wind. And you'll notice that there's going to be a lot of energy points here. They're named after wind. Wind is something you cannot see, cannot smell, cannot taste. So it's our way of explaining your nerve. Now, I want you to take your thumb and push in as if you're pushing in a rubber hose. Lean back and then relax. Okay. Now take your right hand, use 4 fingers, put that on the left, push down, and then grab this tendon on the left side of the neck and kind of bring it very gently to the right, as if you're opening up the channel. Now you take the other side, you put it down and you grab it and you pull it to the left. Now you open up your left ear, you take your hand and you massage. There's a cavity here. It's actually very, very important. This is the beginning of your vagus nerve. So people are start to understand vagus nerve is a big part of your parasympathetic system. And then you just grab it and you just kind of whisper to yourself and say, relax, relax, relax. Now do the same thing, massage below the ear, and then just go to the left. Relax, relax, relax. Now you fold down your left ear, you massage the corner, and then you pull down along the bone, and again whisper to yourself, relax, relax. Same thing on the other side, and just go down one at a time. And now come back, use your thumb, massage the corner, and just go down towards the cavity, this one called the pond of wind. And you go towards that and stop in the middle, look straight ahead, and just kind of massage. You feel some stress here. Okay, now if you have problems sleeping or a problem with the quality of sleep, you massage this point to release some stress. You come down to this part of the wind and you just kind of squeeze those together. And you go down in the middle and you squeeze. There's another 2 energy points here. And then now you go here and you squeeze. This is called the door of wind, or gate of wind. Okay, now you lean your head towards the left. You use your right thumb and then just kind of massage the right side of your neck. You do the same thing on the other side. And now you just kind of squeeze the neck down. Okay, now we're going to continue to work on the neck, on the left side of your neck. So open your shoulder, lean back, relax. Look straight ahead and then turn to the right, look down. And then use your right index finger as a knife and scrape. You see this tendon right here? And this is, scrape this. Now look straight ahead and then look up and you scrape here. And then massage these cavity. There's a very important one on top of your shoulder, called the well on the shoulder. And you just kind of go towards the back. There's another cavity. And then around here. And then along here. And then in front, right here. And then massage. So what we're doing here is sometimes called fascia massage. So we're not really massaging the muscle as much as we're massaging the connective tissue, right? Fascia is myofascia, is the connective tissue of the muscle. So again, looking straight ahead, turn your head to the left, look down, use your left hand, scrape this tendon. And then look straight ahead, look up. And then massage the top of the shoulder. There's a cavity. Back, you feel it. Around, around, and then in front. And then massage. And if you do this, or if you get good at doing it to yourself, and someone else says, "Oh, my neck really hurts. Can you help me?" You can actually feel some kinks in there, as if there's a blockage. Okay. All right. So now we're ready to massage the face. Okay. Now come back to the healing hand. Put that together. Okay. Now I talk about this energy point being the only one that generates energy, positive energy. It's in fact generating infrared. So people actually have measured that. And so now we want to use the infrared to do some therapy on the eye. So after you rub it and you form an empty hand, you put that on your left eye. You take the other hand, you put that on the right eye, and you look, and then you look straight ahead. Open your eyes, and if you see any light, you move around until you don't see any light. Okay, so we want to see darkness. We actually want the eye to be sensitive to the infrared. Put that on your eye. Open your eye. Don't push down. Okay, maintain that space. And the second time, put that on your eye. One last time. Put that on your eye. Right? At first, you don't feel the warmth, but your eye adjusts to the infrared. It feels so it can feel the warmth. All right. Now I want you to massage the forehead. Massage on the 2 sides of the nose. Come back. Massage the side of your face, and then put that center of your palm on your temple. Massage your temple. Now come back to between the eyebrow. Use your 2 fingers and massage right here. And little by little, go up until you get to the top of the forehead. And then you come back and put the index fingers above the eyebrow, massage. And then put that in the beginning of the eyebrow, massage. And then massage the nose. Massage in between the nose and the lip. Okay? All right? Now, we're going to learn how to massage the eyes now. Okay? Eyes is very important as you age. You can tell, right? Because when you go to a eye doctor office now, there's full of people. They could be there for their glaucoma, their all kinds of things, right? And if they're diabetic, they have to go to see the doctor. Eye doctor. Eye is very important. So 3 energy line on top, in the point, and 3 on the bottom. Okay, so take your index fingers, put that in the beginning of the eyebrow, sit up straight, do some acupressure. Put your fingers in between and then massage your eyebrow as if you're squeezing toothpaste. There's some oil tubes there that get stuck, and therefore your eyes is always dry as you age. Right, you start to see a lot of floaters, right? Because you don't have enough tears, and so you put in artificial tears. But what you're lacking is not tear. What you're lacking is oil, right? So you don't have that oil to protect the water. The water evaporates, so your eyes will always be dry, right? So the oil tubes is right here, right? Okay. Now take your thumb, put that at the corner of your eye, massage right below the eye bag, all the way to the tail of the eye. And then do that on the other side. Okay, now there's an energy point right at the corner of the eye. So I want you to put the index finger not on your eyeball, just on like right at the edge. Okay? Okay, this is called the bright eye. Now, I want you to close your eye, look, and then I want you to follow me, do some eye yoga. I want you to look up to the ceiling, close your eye, but look up as high as you can. I want you to look to the right as far as you can. Look down as if you're looking at the floor, and then now look to the left. Back on top again. Now we're going to rotate your eyeball first clockwise. Okay, get ready. Okay, now get ready. Top, right, down, left. Top, right, down, left. Top, right, down, left. Now back to top. We're going to do it one more time counterclockwise. Top, left, down, right. Top, left, down, right. Top, left, down, right. Okay, now open your eyes. Very bright, huh? Very bright. Okay, now take 2 fingers and just kind of massage to the corner of your mouth, to your chin. Now take the index finger, put that below the eye bag. Put the index fingers glide along 2 sides of the nose, follow that bone until you get to the part where there's no bone, and just push it. And then push up and go like this. Okay, now that's for sinus. And then now this part, and then this part. Okay. All right. So now we're going to massage the ears. All right. Now we have to separate the ears into 3 parts. The Chinese believe that there's 265 energy points in the ear, each one corresponding to its counterpart in the body. The Chinese believe that the ear has the shape of the fetus, and it represents the fetus. And so it carries with it all the energy points, okay? Except that it's upside down, just like the fetus is upside down. So the top one actually has to do with the kidney. The bottom one has to do with the brain, all right? So you take your thumb, you put that on the top. You take 4 fingers and you just kind of massage the back and the front. Now you put that in the middle, massage again. Use the index finger, put below, massage. And then now massage the tip, yank. Massage the edge. Massage your ear loop, yank. Leave the thumb behind the ear loop. Take the index finger, massage outside. And now take the index fingers and massage up and down. Now massage the back of the ear to your thumb and just go around until you get to the bottom. Take 2 fingers, massage the corner along, 1 finger on the ear, on the bottom, and then the other side. And then outside, all the way down, corner, all the way down. Okay? All right. Yeah, see, your body is warm, right? The entire body is very warm. Okay, now, one more thing. So we take our hand, put that behind the ear, close your ear, stretch, and then go 1, 2, and 3. Okay? All right. So now we get to the top of the head. And we're going to go from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. Right? Now, the top of the head, this energy point here is called the 100 meat. All the yang energy comes together at the top of the head. All right? This one actually helps with people who suffer from dementia. It can bring back some of that memory faculty, at least temporarily. Okay? Now, I want you to sit up straight, lift up your shoulder and your entire upper torso. I want you to open, lean back, relax. I want you to lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin. Then I want you to use all 10 fingers. Go up and down. Okay, get ready. Now feel free to move around because your body's going to tell you where you want your fingers. Get ready. We're going to do that 30 times. I want you to count as you go, so you're not having any random thoughts. Get ready. Go. Okay. Now I'm going to focus on what we call the longevity cavities. There's 8 of them, 4 on the upper torso and 4 on the lower part of the body. So the first one is here. So this one is part of the heart, but it's also the liver energy comes up here too. So this is actually very important. These 8 cavities are actually the warmest part of a body. They're the closest to the internal organ, or at least the energy of the internal organs. So this one being the mind or the heart, we want to stretch this muscle. So we take our left elbow, we put that on top of the head, we look straight ahead, so you're stretching this part. Then we take the upper part of the ear, we pinch it slightly, we turn our head to the right, we bring up our right hand, we see the empty hand, we put that on the armpit, we listen with the left ear, okay, as if you're playing an instrument. Get ready, go. Continue. Okay, the other side, put that on top. Look straight ahead, pinch the left ear, look to the left hand, empty hand, put that on the right. Get ready, go. Continue. Okay, now to this is 1, 2. Now we go to 3 and 4. So this one is very important, right? All 3 energy lines, all 3 energy points. So we're going to lock the elbow. We're going to take the right hand, we form empty hand, fingers on top, palm on the side. Lift up your hand, look to the left, look right, listen with the left ear. Now 2 things, lock the elbow, form empty hand. Get ready, go. Continue. Okay, now the other side. Lock your elbow. Left hand, right ear. Get ready. Go. Continue. Okay, now I'm going to move to the lower part of the body, working towards the bottom of our feet. Okay, all right. Okay, now, so there's 6 energy lines that originated from the fingers, and there's 6 energy lines that originated from our toes. So what of the 6, there's 3 yin and 3 yang. Okay, so in the upper part, it's that starts with upper part, goes to the rest of the body, is mainly the heart and the lung. On the lower part, it could be the liver, could be the kidney, and it could be the splint. Okay, now first we're going to work on an energy point that associates with the splint. And the splint, it's sometimes very difficult to explain the importance of the splint, because in the Western science, it's something you can remove and you can compensate with chemical. But it's not accurate to refer it as the splint energy line. It's more accurate to refer it as the earth energy line that happens to name after the splint. So you can imagine what earth does. Well, earth does transportation. Is a place that you channel liquid. It's also the place that you transform, right? You actually take food and transform it into nutrient. And so this right here, so we're going to start right here. So you feel the inside of the knee, you measure 3 fingers, and this energy point right here is actually very important. It's called the sea of blood. There are 2 energy points, one right here, that are very important for removing toxins in the blood. So it's associated with high cholesterol. Right? When you have high cholesterol, that's a symptom. It's really, the problem is really that you have inflammation in your blood vessel. It's also associated with diabetes. Again, that's inflammation. Associated with dementia, that's inflammation. So whenever your body inflamed, because there's too much toxin. All right, so now we're going to work on this point. And we're going to form what's called an empty fist. So you can put your thumb inside or put it outside, right? But don't hold it really tight. And you use the edge of the fist. Okay, now keep it flexible. Okay, relax. Now get ready. 30 times, go. Okay, now this is the yin side. The yang of that is the stomach. So again, for people who have a lot of knee pain, you find 2 cavity right here, and so you can just do some acupressure. That would relieve some pain, and then same here. Okay, now all these energies around the knee would also help with knee pain, but this particular is a good one too. All right, so once you find these 2 points, you take your 4 fingers, you measure, you find that bone. On the outside of the bone, you push in, right? This is a very important energy point. It has to do with digestion. So I mentioned the splint stomach pair is responsible for transformation, that's digestion, or transportation, that's to channel your liquid. Okay, get ready, go. Okay, now measure another 4 fingers on top of the bone on the outside. This one works with this one, okay? Again, it's when you have high cholesterol, want to reduce inflammation in your blood vessel, remove some of the toxins. These are the 2 energy ones. Get ready? Go. Okay, now that's the splint stomach pair. Now we're going to come to the liver and gallbladder pair. So the liver actually starts with the big toe. We'll come to that in a minute. But there's one energy point very convenient on the inside. Get ready? Go. Okay, now the outside is the energy line, the yang energy line that we name after the gallbladder. And remember that I said the gallbladder energy line has a lot to do with wind. Wind is nerve. So these 2 are known for reducing your chance of having a stroke. Okay, get ready, go. Second one. Okay, now above the knee is 2, below the knee is 3. This one actually quite famous. If you go to an acupuncturist, they will put a needle in here, right? And so to find that energy point, you come up. You can't go anymore because of the knee, right there. This one, improve your immunity. Get ready? Go. Now, in the middle. Okay, now go all the way down to the ankle, measure 4 fingers. Get ready? Go. Okay, now we get to the backside, which is the energy line named after the bladder. And this one is what the Western doctor call your second heart. So your calf is actually quite important. And one of the things that they recommend is you do a lot of walking. Okay, walking actually reduces your chance of having dementia because it improves circulation by maintaining the second heart. All right, so now right below, there's an energy point. You put that on your right knee. And then same thing, you put that on your left knee. Okay, and now we're going to tap that 30 times. Get ready? And the other side. Okay, now we're going to work on the toes. First, the left. Okay, all right, so now you notice that you have toes, and then in between the toes, you have channel. So again, you take your right thumb and you just kind of massage the channel. I mentioned that there's 6 energy lines that originate from the toes. This one is the liver. This one is the stomach. This one is the gallbladder. And this one is the bladder, right? You feel a little sore. Okay, now, liver is very important because it's activated between 1 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning. We call something called liver fire. And so if you have that, then you can't get a good night's sleep. So I want you to massage that. Open the toes and massage in between. And then before they join together, and do some acupressure here. Okay, and massage that some more. Okay, now turn it upside down. And then bend back the big toe. You see this tendon? Scrape the tendon. This is called the longevity tendon. And then scrape the bottom of your feet. Scrape the heel. Scrape the ball area. And massage the toes. Massage in between the toes. And then come back to the most important part, which is your arch. The beginning of the arch is where the splint energy goes. In the back of the arch is where the kidney energy goes. And this is water, this is soil. So you must have water before you have life, and you must have soil to cultivate life. So you scrape this arch, very important. And you scrape a little bit below the bone. And then you come back to the ankle, you go down, you see this little bump right here. And right here is a very important energy point. If you have, if you're diabetic, this one is important. And now back of the ankle, in between the ankle and the Achilles heel. And then measure 4 fingers right here. And then scrape the entirety of the inner side of your leg. This is where the splint energies are. And again, the splint in the stomach, they're the soil. They're responsible for transportation and transformation. So transportation is when you have digestion problem. Transformation. Transformation is when you have digestion problems. Transportation is when you have swelling. When you have swelling, it's your limbic system, right? So limbic is actually part of the earth element. All right, so now we come back to the bottom of our feet. This energy point is very important, called gushing spring. And so just at the bottom of the ball area. So let's learn how to massage that with your right thumb. And then maybe cut it with your palm. And you want to bend back the toes. You form empty hand. And we call this mixing in water and fire. This is water. This is fire. Okay? Now we're going to tap that 30 times. Get ready. Go. Continue. Okay? All right. Now let's quickly work on the right side. And again, in between the toes. All the way back. Open up the big toes and the second toes. Massage in between. And before they join together, do a little bit of acupressure. Turn your feet upside down. Bend back the big toes. Scrape the tendon. This is what we call the longevity tendon. Relax. Scrape the bottom of your feet. Scrape the heel. Scrape the ball area. Massage your toes. Massage in between the toes. And then massage the arch, right? There's a curve, right? So just along the curve. And then come back to that bone area, the pointy part, and then scrape right below. Come back to the ankle, go down. You see this bump right in front. There's a cavity. Massage that. Behind the heel, behind the ankle, sorry, is another one. 4 fingers above, locate the bone. Right below the bone is another one. And then scrape the entirety of the inside below the bone. Okay, now turn back the toes, form empty hand. Now before we do that, we need to massage. And then turn back the toes, form empty hand. 30 times, get ready, go. Continue. Okay, all right, we get to the, go down to the floor now, okay? All right. We have another half an hour or so, 25 minutes to half an hour. We have to finish up a lot of exercise. Before we do our full exercise, which is called the Yi Jin Jing, we first going to tap the other longevity cavity. 1, 2 is behind the knee, loosening up your knee, and put your fingers in the back. You might want to look straight ahead, and so you don't feel dizzy. Get ready, go. Continue. Okay, now many of you can have lower back problem. Lower back is where the kidneys are, and we call that the kidneys is the back is where the kidneys are. And when you have lower back problem, we actually typically say that your kidney energy is weak. You have kidney energy deficient. So what helps is tapping these 2 energy points and doing some exercise with your toes, like what we do last week, standing up, down, like this, or walking, okay? Straighten up your back, right? So this is kind of a very different way of looking at health as opposed to just looking at it in terms of components, collection of components, and dealing with symptom. The Chinese and the Indians, for that matter, think of our body as a system of energy. And that energy is not decoupled from the universe. Right? It is, in fact, a conduit of the energy in the universe. That's the difference. Now, we're going to work on the remaining of the longevity cavities, is right on the outside, like this, right here. This happens to be the bottleneck for the liver, the kidney, and the splint. And it's also the area closest to your reproduction organ. Your reproduction organ is not just a component that you use and discard. The reproduction organs are the source of life, not just for your next generation, but for yourself. So we often ignore that. All right, so now we put the fist, we fit the fist in here, we tap that 30 times. Get ready? Go. Okay? Very often we ignore our reproduction organ because we don't use it anymore. That's not good, okay? So we need to understand that. All right, so now we come to Yi Jin Jing, which is a phenomenal exercise. It combines three of the things that modern people are interested, which is stretching, cardio, and muscle. But it has one more element, which is balance. And so first I want you to kind of like firmly plant your feet on the ground, activating that energy point that we just tapped, called the gushing spring, as if the energy is gushing up. Then I want you to rotate your toes inward, loosening up your knee a little bit, activate your calf, your second heart, and the energy points right below the calf, which is the key to your gushing spring. Now I want you to open that shoulder, relax the shoulder as if you're aligning the well on top of the spring. I want you to lean back the forehead, tuck in your chin, making sure that the 100 meet where all your yang energy is coming together, and then this becomes a pillar, right? Then I want you to focus on the center of the palm. That's called the labor of chamber, a chamber of labor. I want you to point that to the ground, but make sure you're looking straight ahead. Okay, now we're going to do this thing called the spirit boosting palm. We're basically sending a shockwave through our central nervous system to the top of the head. The way to do that is two things. One is that you really have to focus. You're not using your muscle as much as using your mind. So before you push, you really have to focus onto the center of your palm. How do you do that? You close your eye, but you imagine that you're looking at the center of your palm. It's only when your eye is at the center of your palm that you push with your mind. The second thing you do is be mindful of your breath. When I tell you go, you come back to your breath. You breathe in, and then you breathe out. Now, after you breathe out, you don't hold your breath. You just use that moment after you breathe out to push, okay? Don't push when you breathe in, don't push when you breathe out. It is that space right after you breathe out, but not holding your breath. That's not what we're trying to do. Okay, ready? Now, don't follow me. Go is just a signal for you to do it on your own. Get ready? Go. Now, back to the breath. It's very important that you come back. Give yourself a chance to conserve and preserve your healing power by forcing yourself into rest and digest. And you do that by not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, because all that is the source of your anxiety. But instead, you focus on your breath. And you say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. You feel the inside of your mouth. I know I'm breathing out. Now, the inside of the mouth, When it's wet, it's because you have saliva. Saliva doesn't come from the mouth. It comes from the inside of your tongue. It's a gland. And it listens only to your brain. Okay? So if you don't relax, there's no saliva. The Chinese call the saliva the J letter. Is the beginning of your digestion, your immunity, and your life, your reproduction. Okay, ready? Second time. Open your shoulder. Go. Relax. Know that you're breathing in. Know that you're breathing out. And then go. And then back to the breath. You feel the vibrations traveling in your body to the top and come right back. One last time. Get ready. Open your shoulder. Go. Back to the breath. Feel the inside of your mouth. Okay, now the second one is called pointing. So you focus on your thumb. You use your thumb to point to your hip. Then you roll up your forefingers as if someone had put 2 buckets of water on your thumb, and you lift up your thumb as hard as you can. Lift it up, activating the large intestine energy line, right? Allowing yourself to detox, and then relax without lowering your hand. 1 breath, 2 breaths. Second time. And then relax. 1 breath, 2 breaths. One last time. And then relax. Lower your hand, completely relax. Now, next one's called beginner's heart. This is what the babies do when they're inside the mother's womb. They activate their heart and the pericardium by putting the thumbs across and roll up your fist and squeeze your fist. And then open, relax without dropping them. 1 breath, 2 breaths. Now, second time, squeeze and then relax. One last time, squeeze and then relax. Lower your hand. 1 breath, 2 breaths. Now, next one's called pointing the nose. You put your fists together. You take a deep breath. And then you relax. Now you focus on your back. The back has 4 energy lines coming up. They're part of the bladder yang energy. Each of the energy points has the word healing in it. So imagine that someone is doing the cupping, right? The cupping, they put the glass jar and they put some fire inside, they vacuum it out, and they boom, put it in your back to squeeze your back. It's just that now we do it by ourselves, right? Now, you take your elbow, you put it together, the fist in front of your nose, and you focus on your back, and you stretch your back as if you're doing your own cupping. And then relax. After 2 breaths, second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. Now, the next one is called a fist above the head. So lift the fist up above the head, open the shoulder, open the fist, roll a fist, 1 joint, 2 joint, and lock it with the thumb. And we're doing a cardio exercise by squeezing your heart, fighting, squeezing your finger, fighting with your heart. And then relax, right? So when you go get your blood drawn, that's what the nurse would tell you. Squeeze your fist. Now, second time, open your shoulder, roll your fist, and squeeze as hard as you can, fighting with your heart, and then relax. Okay, one last time. Squeeze, and then relax. Now, the next one is called stabbing the shoulder. You're actually working on the gallbladder energy line by increasing blood flow into your head. Okay, so you do that by first opening the shoulder and then grab, as if you're grabbing two daggers. You point your dagger onto your shoulder, you look straight ahead, and you stab, and you feel the tightness in the back of your neck. And then you go, relax. Let the blood circulations go up to the top of your head. Second time, open, stab, and then relax. So I posted a couple of articles, right? One of that is the doctor talking about dementia. He basically says that your nerve is 40 miles long. And you have dementia because your blood vessels are inflamed. It's inflamed because you don't have enough circulation, right? Open your shoulder and stab. Improve the circulation to your brain, and then relax. Now, the next one's called the cross, but understand what it does. It is to stretch the back of your arm. This is called the triple warmer. It contains everything inside. So you make a cross. Imagine you have two trees on the side. You roll your fists, your wrists. You roll your fist, you take a deep breath, you hold your breath, and you push as hard as you can, stretching the upper part of your arm, and then go, relax. One breath, two breaths. Again, lift up your hand, roll your wrist, make a fist, take a deep breath, and push. Relax. It's very energetic, right? Hard to do when your body deteriorates, and that's the point. You want to maintain the vitality when you can. Get ready? Push. Relax. Once you pass the point of no return, your body deteriorates, you can't come back. And so you do it while you can and maintain that. Now, same thing, front hanging. So lock your elbow and then rotate your wrist. Take a deep breath and push. And then relax. Second time. And push. And then relax. One last time. And push. And then relax. Now this gets to be the muscle part. First, this muscle. So you raise your arm, you look up, you see this bar. You grab the bar, you follow the bar as you pull yourself up, and then relax. Muscle, huh? Get ready, second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. We continue with the muscle, this time much more about the upper body. And it's pulling the bow, like in bow and arrow. You grab the bow, one on each side, and you open the bow. And then relax. Second time. And then relax. One last time. And relax. Okay? And then finally we get to the point where we point the fists together, we collect all our J letter, all our saliva, and we swallow all the way down. Now this next part is often ignored, but it's very important. You actually do the back all the way to the top of the head. Okay, now you put your fists together. You put your hand together, back of the hand touching. You straighten up your back. You don't stand straight. You unlock your knee, and then you go down without standing, without unlocking your knee. Right? You loosen your knee. I don't know how to say it. And then you look down at your head, back of the hand touching, and you squeeze one time, back of the hand touching. Focus on your breath. And you squeeze the second time, back of the hand touching. And you squeeze one last time, back of the hand touching. You ready? Flip your hand. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Push. Breathe in. Breathe out. Back to the seat. Now, some of you might already got used to the sensation, but if you're doing it at the beginning, this is the time when you feel a lot of different sensations in your body. There's a lot of stuff bouncing around. Your body feels tingling on that. That's your energy, right? That 14 forms basically activate all your meridians in your body, plus the two principles, the one in the back and the one in the front. So what we want to do now is we want to collect all that energy into our stomach, what we call the dantian, the fuel of fire. But not only that, we're sorting them out into yin and yang. The way you do that is by focusing on your belly, focusing on your belly button. And when you breathe in, you open your stomach as if you're pointing your belly button forward. And when you breathe out, you take in your stomach as if you're bringing your belly button back. When you breathe in, open your stomach, you lower your diaphragm, you're putting your body into fight or flight. And when you breathe out, you collapse your stomach, bringing the belly button back. You're lifting up your diaphragm, and you're putting yourself into into rest and digest. This is actually innate to our existence. This is what the babies get trained to do when they're inside the mother's womb, is that they're taking the yin energy, the restorative energy from the mom, developing the yin organs, which are called the treasure organs. And then this includes the heart, the liver, the splint, the kidney, and the liver. Those are called treasure organs. And then at the same time, they're promoting their own yang energy, because right now they don't need anything else. They don't need the stomach. They don't need the lung, right? They don't need the intestines. They have the mother providing that for them, but they need them. And so they're promoting the yang energy, and they're doing all that by moving their diaphragm. And that's all we're going to do is come back to our diaphragm. When we breathe in, we open the stomach, moving the diaphragm down, enter into fight or flight, which is the yang. And when we breathe out, we're taking the stomach, we're pushing up the diaphragm, and putting ourselves into yin. So what we're doing is basically taking all that energies in the body, collect them all into our dantian, and sorting them into yin and yang. Let's sit for 3 minutes. We don't have a lot of time. This is something you can practice on your own, okay? Let's just do 3 minutes of basic exercise, something that we call mindful, of your breath to cultivate your qi. Now, that simple exercise that we're doing, the scientists are actually quite aware of the benefit. They're measuring our HRV, our heart rate variability. So they take two large populations. One, they just ask them to relax. The other one, they ask them to relax by doing deep breathing. And there's obviously many ways of doing deep breathing. This is only one. And they measure their HRV, the heart rate variability, and they realize that people who actually practice deep breathing using their diaphragm has a measurable HRV in the milliseconds. But as a result, they correlate that with a protein marker in the brain, and they can actually conclude that deep breathing, which basically allows you to cycle between your two autonomous systems, improve and restore your self-healing, can actually lead to reverse of dementia. Now we're going to do the next step. Now that we have separated the yin and the yang, we're going to cycle the yang energy of our spine. So before we do that, let's sit upright. Let's sit properly by, again, lifting up a shoulder. Lean back, opening a shoulder, and then relax the shoulder. Lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin, close your eye, but relax the eyelid, and then put the tongue behind here, behind the teeth, where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. It serves three purposes. One is that it activates your saliva gland, fooling your brain into thinking that you're in rest and digest. Two, it prevents your saliva from falling into your lung and choking you. Three, it is actually a conductive path. Now I want you to focus on the lower part of your spine. When you feel that you're breathing in, you climb up your spine, slowly stretching your spine towards the ceiling until you get to the top of the head. And then when you breathe out, you lean back, you come back from the top of the head to your forehead, to your nose, through your tongue, and come back to the belly button. When you breathe in, stretch, go up, you're entering into fight or flight. You're releasing stress hormone to heal your body, to reduce inflammation. And then when you come back, you lean back and you relax. You're cycling yourself into rest and digest, where you preserve and conserve your healing power. If you have too much stress hormone, it's not a good thing. I told this story about once upon a time, long time ago, back in the days when we actually have only 3 TV channels, ABC, NBC, CBS. I was watching a documentary on PBS, and it talks about this young girl, young woman, young couple, who's 90 years old now. But when she was young, she and her husband was doing the research in Africa. They got so familiar with the gorilla family, they allowed them to put a tent next to the clan. And they were interested in why some apes become alpha male. But then after they become alpha male, for some reason, they were discarded by the tribe. And I don't know how they managed to take blood sample. Don't ask me that. But they did take blood sample. And they conclude that it has to do with the stress hormone. The alpha male are the one then release the stress hormone and have the stress hormone in the body rise in a very fast rate, because the stress hormone is what they need when they're in danger. The stress hormone is what they need to heal the body when they're in danger. But at the same time, those alpha male can dissipate the stress hormone in a phenomenal rate, because the stress hormone hurt their health. And you have to remember this. Stress hormone is a good thing. It's your healing. But as soon as you're done with your healing, let it go. Let it go. Conserve and preserve your healing. And that's the problem with our modern people, is that they were under stress. The problem with the Western science is, Western medical science, is that they are always chasing after the symptom. They think that heart disease is caused by cholesterol. Heart disease is not caused by cholesterol. Heart disease is caused by inflammation. It's an inflammation in your blood vessel that causes your body to release steroid. But the rest of your body, especially your brain, needs cholesterol. 80% of your brain is cholesterol. So if you try to artificially reduce cholesterol, you're going to have problems with your neurological health. So they're chasing after symptom. These days, they're doing the same thing. They're chasing after cortisol. They said that people who have dementia, the people who have autoimmune disease, the people who have diabetes, they have too much cortisol. They have too much cortisol. So we're going to invent some medicine to reduce cortisol. Well, if your body cannot release cortisol, and you're going to get run over by a bus because your body doesn't know how to jump away from the bus. It's not the symptom, it's the harmony. And all we're doing here is restoring our harmony, bring ourselves back to the comfort of our mother's womb. Breathe in, open the stomach. Breathe out, bring back the stomach. Breathe in, rise on the spine. Breathe out, restoring the harmony by bringing it back. Now, this technique is thousands of years old, okay? Thousands of years old, and it's called a microcosmic orbit. Next week, we're going to practice another aspect of that in a breathing exercise. The breathing exercise is also to maintain and create that harmony. It's a harmony that gives you health. Not just the physical health, but society health. Not just the society health, but the planetary health. Not just the planetary health, but the health of the universe. It's always in the harmony. With that, I bless you all with good health, with happiness, and with peace. Namo tasso bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namaste. I'll see you all next week. Thank you for all the donation. And as I said, they will all go to, at the end of the year, I would account for that. And then there are other students who are interested in matching them one-to-one. And all that would go to Bodhidhama to continue his work inside the prison, but also expanding his work now to outside the prison. So part of what we do is to prepare for that, okay? And so a name for the scope of a work has to do with something called the justice impacted population, and includes people who are in prison, not only because they have committed a crime, but because they have committed a sin, which is that they are poor. But also the people who are released from prison, our recidivism rate is about 60%, meaning that for every thousands of formerly incarcerated individuals, 600 of them will go back. Under Venerable Bodhidhama's guidance, out of the 2,000 students that he had mentored, only 2 had went back. So even at 1,000, 2 out of 1,000 is only 0.2%. So we're going from 60% to 0.2%. Another way to think of it is that we managed to help 598 people living their life outside of the prison, saving taxpayers $130,000 a year per individual. That's how important his works are. And I want to thank you for all the donations. I want to thank you for all of you subscribing to his video. He will be back in the first Tuesday of June. Okay, so I managed to get all my computers working now, so I can bring him to Insight Timer. Okay, all right. Once again, thank you. See you all next week. Be good. Be safe out there. Okay, all right.